Thank you so much for having me.
Kate, you are like a badass career lady. You lived in New York City for a long time. You represent really cool authors. I know you have Claire Boyle's book is coming out, The Appraisals. You have a really, intense career. I think it's a cool job, but I imagine it involves some time in front of the computer, a lot of emails.
For sure.
Yeah. So how did you get into hiking up, walking up, climbing up mountains?
The short answer is we moved from New York City to Portland, Oregon in the summer of 2020. So we kind of had like the first few months of the really intense pandemic in New York, which were obviously like extremely, New York City is, it can be hard to sort of find spots of nature there at the best of times, but, we didn't have a car, and so we were really, like, sort of trapped in a 600 square foot apartment for a few months, and I've always been I for a long time, I've just sort of been a person who likes to engage with everything around me in just by walking, like, when I go to other cities, new countries, I like to walk and sort of see things that way, rather than take a taxi or take the subway. And so when we moved here, I think it's just the thing that sort of struck all of us at first was like just the scale of the natural beauty, both around Portland in like very easy to get to areas, but even within the city itself, we live really close to Forest Park, which is this massive expanse of I don't know how many acres it is, thousands and thousands of acres of like forest, not at all like a park. And so that was sort of how it started. We would just, just for our own mental health, would go in those sort of when we were still in lockdown, like I feel like our concentric circles got like slightly larger, but we would go sort of like find a trail and take a walk. And we got a dog who's an Australian Shepherd who might interrupt in a second. He likes to be involved in my video chats. So he needed a lot of exercise. And so that was sort of how it started. And then I met a woman who has lived here for a long time. She's actually originally from Texas, but she's lived in Oregon and around Portland forever. And she has done a lot of climbing. She's part of an organization called the Mazamas, which is like a very old climbing club, basically here in Portland, and or in Oregon rather. I think centered around Mount Hood. And she said, I'm going to get you up a mountain. And I sort of laughed at her and was like, sure, I guess. And then it took a few years, but we got there in the summer of 2024. We got to the top of St. Helens.
That's awesome. I think COVID was a life changer for a lot of us. That's when I started climbing too, because people had time and they had a lot of anxiety and they had change of routines. So a lot of people started new things. So you met this friend when you moved to Portland and she kind of dragged you up a mountain the first time. I have to admit, like I used to hate hiking. I actually love it now, but I was like, it's just walking and it's a lot of walking, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like a short walk where you're like, okay, I cleared my head, I feel better. I mean, going up a mountain, I'm trying to imagine your first time. Was that like a full day type situation?
So the first sort of big climb we did was it's called Dog Mountain. It's not a mountain. It's like in the it's the Columbia River Gorge. So it's the Columbia River separates Oregon and Washington, and there's this beautiful gorge with these kind of um yeah, they're kind of like they're big climbs, right? And they sort of vary in there's lots of waterfalls and they vary in like steepness and intensity. And Dog Mountain, so that was we had sort of made this plan. We were going to do these training hikes, and we started with that, and it was February, it was cold, and I just remember we got to the trailhead and there was a sign that said difficult and more difficult, and that was that was all we had in terms of, and I was like, "We're going on the difficult one, right?" Like, and I can't remember, I kind of only have my, like, iPhone. I don't have, like a Apple Watch, so I just have my iPhone, but I remember, I think it was, like 400 flights of stairs or something. And it's just, and again, it's not a mountain. You're not even that high when you get up, but there's a beautiful view. But although that day, the first time we went up, it was totally covered in clouds. So
Yeah.
I just had to take everyone's word for it. But yeah, it's really intense. And I don't know, though, there's something about sort of hiking with a friend. And we didn't know each other very well. And there were actually four of us on that first hike. You just sort of, it's kind of like driving, like it's kind of like taking a road trip. It facilitates conversation in this weird way, I think, because you're all sort of like looking forward. You're not looking at each other. And there's something, I don't know, like it's a really like interesting way to kind of like get deep into conversations with people when if you'd like gone to a restaurant and gotten a drink, maybe I don't know, there's more stuff to distract you or I don't know. I can't really I've never really pinpointed like what it is, but there's something kind of I don't know, really nice about it.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big part of it is hiking with other women. I just did an 8-mile hike with my friend Kate, and we just talk about everything, and it just kind of feels like this place, maybe because we're not looking at each other, maybe because we're not doing anything practical. I know a lot of times when you're meeting up with other parents or something, you're talking about, "Oh, is your kid gonna play basketball?" It kind of stays on that surface level of practical things. Are you going to the birthday party? Whatever. But on the trail, it's all like, "Oh, my dad has cancer," and, things just kinda come out, and you start sharing your life.
Totally, totally. Yeah, and so I don't know, it's funny, like, so all of those however many, 400 flights or whatever it was, they sort of as hard as it was, and I was very sore that day, I definitely took, like, a long bath when I got home. Um, yeah, it was, it sort of it kind of flew by, which and it's that I mean, I think it's that sort of typical right? It's like type 2 fun. It's like, in the moment, you're like, "Why am I doing this?" Uh, and then when you finish, you're like, when are we gonna do that again?"
Exactly, exactly. We did, my first alpine climb, and the first day of hiking, I was like, "This is amazing, I'm seeing all this beautiful nature, all these animals, and every turn is beautiful," and I felt, like, so strong, and then the second day hiking back down, I just thought, "This is terrible, my legs are broken, I can barely move, like, I'm never gonna do this again," and then as soon as you recover and your legs work again, you're like, "When can we go back?" So it's very
Yeah,
strange to describe this kind of chosen, like, not suffering, but kind of sometimes really beautiful and really invigorating, and other times just kind of you're trudging along left foot, right foot, because you just gotta keep moving.
yeah.
Is it kind of like a moving meditation for you? I mean, is it something about being in nature? I mean, you talked about the friendships that you form, but
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I think it really is like hiking here is it's beautiful like in all four seasons, right? Like in the spring you get the wildflowers rather, in the summer it's like lush and green and then there's like beautiful fall colors. I mean, it's so um and as much as it's hard. I hate to always like compare Portland and New York, but I lived in New York for a long time and I always am just struck by how, even what like Oregonians consider like a crowded trail. I'm like, if this was anywhere within 2 hours of New York City, like it would be packed, right? And I've had a similar experience like hiking in LA. Like there's so many people that you kind of feel like you're still in a city street or you're like in nature, but here, you really, like, can disconnect, and so it's really just, like, a few of you, and, um, yeah, the nature's really beautiful, and then there's also that sort of opportunity it's not the same as rock climbing, which, but it's, like, occasionally there's, like, that little puzzle that comes up too, where it's, like, there's a tree that's fallen, and you have to figure out how to get around it safely, or, there's part of the trail's washed out or something, you have to get over some boulders or something like that, which is also kind of, I think, part of the fun.
yeah, it's like being a kid again. I think
Yeah.
when you're a kid, you're kind of just, like, scrambling around on rocks and like, "Oh, look at this cool mushroom," and, like,
Yeah.
get across this fallen tree that's covered over a river. And when you're an adult, you get into that really practical mindset. I don't know about you, but like in my 20s, when I had young kids or my early 30s, I would go to the gym and think like, I'm just going to knock out a workout. I'm going to burn this many calories. I'm going to hop on the elliptical. And it's not really fun though, you know, it's just kind of like a little stress relief, a little endorphins, but kind of a means to an end. Versus there's something about like wandering through the woods where you don't know exactly what you're going to see. You don't know exactly what's going to happen. That's kind of more playful and childlike and kinda connects you with that part of yourself that's like, "Ooh, look, there's a tree," you know, and we kinda
Yeah, totally. Totally. Yeah, and it's also like a little community, especially we had a tendency, we don't always, but we had a tendency to go really early because we did most of our, like, climbing in the spring and the summer, and it can be really, I mean, it can be quote unquote busy. I know I just said it's not, but like so you wanna sort of, be able to get a parking spot um, and there's always that, like, we would sort of joke, like, there were always like much older women than us who would like be going way faster than us or would lap us. And like, but you sort of stop and talk to everyone a little bit. I mean, it's a kind of joke, I think, where it's like hikers have to say hi to each other. It's like being on the water or something, you have to wave. But it's kind of nice too, because you're sort of all there together and you kind of, people warn you about things that might be up ahead or things to look out for. And anyway, it's a fun, like, little community.
Yeah, there's a community of other people who enjoy the outdoors. There's, the solitude of being kind of on a quiet trail and looking at some birds or something. I feel like all of a sudden you turn 40 and you're like, "Oh my god, I love birds." They're
I know. I haven't really gotten into birds yet, but I'm sure it's next on my list.
oh, like a cool bird on your feeder and you're so stoked. It's the little things, you know, and just with everything going on in the world right now, it's just an awesome way to just kind of disconnect from all of that cortisol and kind of hit the reset. But it also kind of changes your relationship to your body because I imagine in Portland, sorry, I don't know what's going on. Imagine in Portland, you're outside when it's really rainy, it's
Mhm.
cold sometimes, and so you're kind of tapping into your own sense of resilience of like, "I can do this." And, how has it changed your relationship to your body going up and down mountains?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, it's funny. So the last apartment we had in New York, which we had for 10 years. So it was the apartment where, and I just say this, so it was where we lived when our son was born. It was a fifth floor walk up. And I remember, I mean, especially when I was pregnant, people would just be like, how do you do that? And I would be like, well, you get a little more pregnant every day. You don't like wake up and you're like 9 months pregnant, you're like, you're a day more pregnant than you were the day before. Um, but it was seen as, like, such a feat of, like, physical in New York, and, um and I will say, like, carrying lots of groceries up 5 flights of stairs is a feat for sure, but when I look now, again, like, if I look at my health app, on an average day, I will climb 40 or 50 flights of stairs here just going up hills, right? And that's not even, like, on purpose. That's not even, like, going on a hike. That's just, like, taking the dog for a walk, like, which happens to require going up a hill. Whereas in New York, I would probably go up 10 flights of because I would go twice, right? I would, like, leave in the morning, and then I would go out one more time. And so yeah, I feel like, I feel a lot even though I'm older than I was, I feel like a lot stronger. I feel a lot more just I have a lot more resilience. And yeah, I mean, the weather thing is, I think when people think of Portland and Seattle, the Pacific Northwest, like, they think of like, "Oh my god, it rains, like, 9 months out of the year." I mean, first of all, it doesn't rain as much as it used to, which is, like, sort of a problem of climate change. Um, and today it's, like, a beautiful sunny day, but, it's never, like, uh not never, it's very rarely, like, pouring, right? So it's that kind of rain that's, like, it's kind of misty and it's kind of all around, you can't really get away from it, but as long as you have, like, something waterproof and yeah, you're warm enough. It's all about layers, right? I feel like this is like the outdoors thing. It's like everyone knows it's just like it's not about having like a really warm coat. It's about wearing like multiple layers that you can take off. Um then you can kind of, and you're just, as long as your feet are dry and you have like a good jacket, like, yeah, you can kind of go out anytime. And some of those times are my favorites because again, like, there will be no one else on the trail. So we as a family like have a sort of tradition of going on a New Year's Day hike. And we've done those like in crazy weather. and but it's you're sort of, yeah, you get to go see these beautiful, waterfall falls, and we've gone out to the coast, and um you get to see these beautiful landscapes and there's no one else around, and so it kind of feels like special.
Yes, I love that. I used to live in South Bend, Indiana, and it's cold and it's super snowy. And I taught with this woman, Linda, and she said there's no such thing as bad weather, there's just bad clothing. And the way that she got through winter is she would cross country ski every single day or get out in the
Oh,
snow.
wow.
And it's so empowering to like put the yak tracks on the bottom of your hiking boots and be like, I can walk through this like icy, snowy, crazy situation.
Totally.
Make it work. Yeah. Or like we
Totally.
would joke when it started raining on the trail, like, good thing I'm waterproof," it's like, make it
Exactly, exactly. I will say the one thing, and it's fine, but like, my hands get really cold, and so the last time this friend of mine and I climbed a mountain, which was this summer, um, or in the fall, it was in October. I just had like 3 pairs of gloves, so I had like two liners and a like really heavy duty pair of gloves, and my hands were still freezing. Like the ends of my fingers were like starting to hurt. And she had just bought like tons of those hand warmers, and it turns out like hand warmers are an amazing invention. So
Yeah.
it just, yeah,
You gotta have a good friend who's got a good attitude. You need snacks, you need the right gear, and then you can get out in pretty much anything and go see it. And if the weather's bad, then it's all the better because it's all for you. You have the
yeah,
whole trail.
yeah, exactly.
Um, I also think it changes your relationship to your body as a woman because, I used to kind of think like, "Oh, it's raining, my hair will look bad or my mascara will run." But when you're on the trail, you're not thinking about how you look at all, and isn't that such a nice release to just kind of
Oh my God.
give a crap?
Yeah. I mean, especially those early morning hikes, we'll wake up at 5. We'll get to the trail by like 5:45 or 6. I mean, yeah, we're not wearing bras. We're not like, we're just like, we've got like a baseball hat on, and we don't care at all what we look like. We have there's a meme. I don't know of how outside of the like mountaineering uh community this meme has spread, but I've seen it a lot. It's like an Amazon review of a woman like leaving a review for leggings, and there's just pictures of her like sliding down a mountain, and she's like, I slid down the mountain in these, and like there's no holes in them, and that's kind of our like that's the metric by which we like choose our clothing, basically. It's like
Exactly. It's not a fashion show. I just wanna know that I cannot have these turn into chaps when I'm sliding.
exactly.
Or I really like the people who have the bumper sticker on their car that says, "I love peeing outside," because I also I'm like,
Totally.
nothing better than peeing outside with a view, It just really makes my day.
Totally.
Can you speak about, like, some of your favorite climbs or some of the, like, craziest stuff that you've done?
Yeah, I mean, so I was gonna say some of that is the same answer. So there's a climb out. It's actually in the Coast Range. So in the Willamette Valley, which is where Portland is in between the Cascades and the Coast Range. The Coast Range is much lower, but there are these two peaks called Elk and King, and they're fairly close to each other, so you can do them both in the same day. It's not. It's a big undertaking, but it's not insane to do them both in the same day. And in this organization, the Mazamas, those are kind of the hikes that the Mazamas do as the next to last hike before the mountain. So basically, the thinking is if you can do Elk and King, you can do Helen's or Hood or anything else. Um, but my favorite part of those They're very like at the top of Elk, you feel very much like a mountain goat. Like it's really rocky and you're like right at the top. And again, it's not 11,000 feet, but it's pretty steep. And if you fall, like some bad things could happen. But my favorite part of that hike is that on the way in between Elk and King, there's a sort of particular section. Um, and I don't know if it was washed out or whatever, but anyway, there's just a rope that's tied to a tree, and you have to like use the rope to get down. It's more for getting down than getting up, although it's helpful in getting up. Um, and it just is like it's just always the funniest things because it's like this old frayed rope that someone's just left tied, and you're like, "Are we really doing this? Like, okay, I guess we are." Anyway, it's very fun. We have some like very funny videos of both of us on the rope. Um, and it is like it's really beautiful. Like it's really, really stunning. The Coast Ranges. It tends to be more sort of like rainy out there for longer of the year, and so it tends to be like green all the time. And yeah, you can kind of like at moments you can like hear the ocean when you're like at the top of the mountain, and it's really stunning. And I would say my second favorite was the one that we did most recently, which was South Sister, which is down near Bend, and is like I don't know. It was touch and go. We got to the mountain. We were not expecting there to be any snow at the top, and there was snow at the top, and we were like not prepared for there to be snow at the top. And as we were on our way up, lots of people were turning around who had like decided not to get to the summit. It was really windy. It was really crazy, but we pushed through. There were enough people who'd said you can get up there, and they sort of said like if you get up there, it sounds so crazy, but like it's still and beautiful, and you can see like you know all the other mountains. It's just, and they were like, it's totally worth it. Anyway, there were some moments when there were three of us, and the two less experienced of us, which was included me, we definitely had moments of like, maybe we should go turn around. Maybe we should not do this. But we pushed on, and yeah, it was just like one of the most stunning things I've ever seen. And it felt very like, I can't believe I did that. And we definitely, on the way up, I kept sort of saying, like, how are we going to get down? Because it was really slippery and snowy. And again, like, none of us had yak tracks or spikes um, and the answer was we slid some good part of the way down on our butts. It was like totally fine.
I've heard of these people who they use an ice axe as like a rudder and they slide all the way down the mountain. And then if they need to like arrest the fall, they stick the ice axe in. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, that's actually hopefully our next climb. So we're going to try to do that. We're going to try to do Helen's in the early spring before the snow melts. And when you do that, yeah, it's called glissading. And there's just apparently they're like, you can just see the chutes. Like you can sort of see the slides from the imprints of other people sliding down. And yeah, you use your ice axe, you take a helmet. I don't know, it sounds like having done it like without planning. I was like, oh my God, that was so fun. We have to do that again. So yeah, we're very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it sounds so silly and also terrifying and also wonderful all at the same time.
I was gonna say there are people who like take skis up to the top of the mountain and then ski down, which is obviously seems like way cooler and like, but I'm like, no, I'm happy just like sitting down and sliding
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, we have like a joke in rock climbing that everything is on. Like you can use your chin, you can use your butt, you can use whatever you need to do to get yourself up or down and just make it work. And then you have a great story afterwards that you guys can talk
Totally.
about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's so great. I hope more people try like hiking and mountaineering and realize that they can start like at any age, any skill level. And I think there's something so empowering about like the way I used to work out, right, was to burn calories or to stay fit versus like you do a climb that totally kicks your butt and then you're like, wow, I really need to train so that I can go do this really cool adventure.
Yeah,
versus like I need to train so I can look a certain way or whatever. It's so much more motivating. You're like, okay, that kicked my butt, but now I know that I need to like hike more or lift heavier so I can go see more beautiful places. It opens up the world to you,
yeah,
which I really feel way more motivated about exercising so that I can get up this amazing mountain than I do just to kind of check it off a list.
totally. Yeah.
It's very cool. I think I don't know if you watched, like, the Olympics when they were in Japan, but they were talking about Japanese forest bathing, which I love partly because I think the phrase "forest bathing" is just hilarious. Like, I picture, like, a tub in the woods, and I'm like, "Sign me up." But it actually means, like, walking through a wooded area, and just with mindfulness, right? So,
Yeah.
paying attention to your 5 senses. What do I see? What do I hear? What do I smell, etcetera?
Yeah.
Just all of the benefits of that for all of us when we're just kind of getting so many notifications and whatnot versus being like, "I hear a bird." I mean, it's pretty cool, but again, it's not immediately cool. Like, you have to kinda get into that slower pace of, "This is really cool," but it takes kind of a little bit of time to get into that mindset.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I will say on that note too, like, and this is less about like the sort of big hikes in the gorge, but just in my walks, both by myself and with the dogs, like in Forest Park, which again has like loads of trails. It's like, less a park, more a forest. Um, I really noticed the sort of subtle shifts in like with the seasons, and just how, there's one of the trails that I go on a lot is, has a creek, and in the summer, it's this tiny little creek, and right now it's this huge rushing, like, it's so loud, and I try not to I take my phone, but I try not to, like, listen to anything, right? Like, I'm a big, like, audiobook podcast listener in general, but, I try to just, like, be there and notice all of those things, and I wish I knew the name of them, but there are these amazing spiders in the fall that create these like enormous webs, and they're huge spiders. They're not dangerous at all or poisonous, but they're like massive, and like to go in the morning and to see the web with like the dew on it, and it's just anyway, I love those. Like I mean I've seen like herons and coyotes, and I mean, I didn't spend too long looking at the coyote, but
Yeah, it's really cool because 'cause I'm the same as you, like, if I'm in the car, I'm always listening to music, if I'm washing dishes, I'm listening to an audiobook, but when I have a strong belief, I mean, this is controversial in the outdoor world, but I'm like, no headphones, no portable speaker, because another thing I love about outside is that in out it could be 1997 for all you know. Like, you're not, plugged into everything that's happening in the news. I mean, sometimes if you're far enough out, it could be like 1917, you know? You feel there's a timelessness and there's a quiet, but it definitely takes a little time. Like I said, I used to think hiking was kind of boring compared to climbing, but I've gotten into it where you kind of switch into that brain, that meditative space to just see and appreciate the little things. And if you're still enough, you might see a coyote. If you have your speaker, he'll be scared away, you know?
totally, totally. Yeah, we're very anti-speaker, especially. I feel like headphones can be allowed, but like, yeah, I mean, I even feel that way at the beach, which I know like people go to the beach and want to have a party, but I'm sort of like, I just want to listen to the waves, and like I don't really I mean, I'm happy to hear other people talking, but your soundtrack might not be my soundtrack. Like I don't necessarily like I feel like it's a big assumption to sort of be like, okay, everybody, here's the music we're all listening to.
Yeah, we're sharing space and just like leave no trace, like not everybody likes EDM or whatever.
Ex- exactly.
Well, I think it's awesome. I think it's really cool that you can have a new interest and a new hobby and you can move to someplace. If people want to move someplace closer to nature, they can do that. Or getting to know just even the parks and trails like near your house and coming to have a relationship with them. I just hope more people will try it because it can feel kind of intimidating, but it's definitely something that's accessible where you can start with a shorter hike and then work up to the whole mountain.
Totally. Yeah. Well, and even like I said, I mean, walking was, I mean, we all have to walk, but like walking was something that we did even in New York, right? Like, and I mean, you can call it an urban hike or you can just call it a walk, but like one of the reasons that we lived in such a small place was because we wanted to live in Manhattan, and Manhattan's more expensive than the other boroughs. But one of the things we loved was that we were like in Manhattan, and so even with like a little kid, we could like leave our apartment, which was on 19th Street, and walk up to the Metropolitan Museum, which was on 80th Street. And 70 blocks is like, I don't know how many miles it is, 3 or 4. And yeah, it's a different kind of like hike, quote unquote. But it sort of accomplishes the same thing. So I feel like it's something that, I mean, kind of anyone can do anywhere. I mean, I guess it can be harder in like suburbs with no sidewalks, um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
which should be illegal. Like they should not be allowed to build a neighborhood with no sidewalks. That's just mean, guys.
I'm totally with you. I'm totally with you.
But yeah, no, that's a little harder. But yeah, even then, like getting out and moving. And I think I saw this article the other day about how people who cycle to and from work basically have no Alzheimer's risk. Like when you're moving your body, when you're moving your body and like having to interact, like you mentioned, with the fallen tree, or a cyclist is having to think versus when you're on autopilot, you're on the train, you're in a cab, you're driving a car, and you're just kind of moved like a package instead of moving yourself. It's just engaging all of your senses, and it's great for your body. It's great for your mental health. So it could happen in urban environment too if you chose to take the walk or to take the bike ride. But it's a little bit scarier to ride a bike in a big city. But
For sure, for sure. I mean, yeah, that's sort of on the city to like make sure that the cyclists are safer than the cars, or safe from the cars, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I think it's funny. I have a friend who it's a joke between us, but she sort of is like, your toxic trait is that you'll like always walk somewhere. Like I just am always. I mean, we live in the city, and I have not been in my car for 10 days. Like it's just been, is ideal for me. Like I love it. I'm just sort of like I would always choose to walk if it's like a reasonable if it's a reasonable option. That would sort of always be my choice. And so it's probably natural that hiking was like the thing that I fell into.
yeah, sometimes you find your thing and it's just like a key in a lock. And I think everybody just needs to try a lot of stuff and keep trying it until they find something that they love that feels like life giving to them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you talking with us and sharing your story. And I hope more people will try hiking and mountaineering and getting outside. It's a really good idea, you guys, especially right now with everything going on in the world, to move your body and take a little time for quiet. And it's kind of a cliche, but yeah, don't check your news, don't check your Twitter. Just look at the squirrels, get real weird with it. You're going to be glad that you did. And the people that you take care of, I mean, you're a mom, right? Like they are depending on you to be okay. So
Yeah.
doing those things for yourself is also kind of doing them for the people that you care for.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
I always love talking to you, Kate. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a great rest of your day.
All right, you too.